Hey guys, I've got another prophetic word today. God was just pressing this on my heart. It literally happened since my dream last night that I woke up from. But just want to say the theme of today's message is to do with choices, like making the wise choices, making the right choice. Um, and so I'm going to explain what my dream was and then go into what I think God wants to say from it. So I believe this could be a word for some of you guys watching, and you will know who you are. But the dream started, it's to do with marriage. So in this dream, I was it's a bit random. Started off, I was in some random corner shop. Sorry guys, I have to say the details, otherwise it will get confusing. And I just remember not being able to pay for something. For some reason, my card wasn't working. And then there was a guy there, and he was like, it doesn't make sense, but he was like, oh, well, if you can't afford to pay for whatever you're getting, I think I was like £2 short or something like that, then I will, I don't know what, it was really weird. Basically the shopkeeper was like, you have to do 2 weeks worth of work here if you can't pay that £2.50 for whatever I needed to get. So it doesn't really make sense, but hold on guys, don't worry. But then this random guy said, oh, I'll do the work for you instead, so you don't have to come in for 2 weeks to do this work in the shop for what you couldn't pay. So I was like, oh, he's willing to do it for me, that's really sweet. I thought, wow, and sort of like caught his eye and thought, oh, he seems really nice. And so yeah, that happened. And then my dream happened a bit like a movie. This has been happening to me a lot recently. And then all of a sudden it like changed to where like me and this guy were getting to know each other or something like that, like really getting to know each other. And I thought, oh, this is someone that could be my life partner sort of thing. And then yeah, we were like getting closer to like thinking about getting married. It's so random. And then yeah, and I don't know what happened, but then another part of the dream, next thing you know, I've somehow met this other guy. So a different guy, the dream changes, it's a different guy, and all of a sudden I'm about to get married to this random guy, right? So it's like an engagement party. Only specific things have stood out from this dream, guys, so like I'm only gonna be able to say bits and pieces. So yes, I just remember in the dream so clearly being at an engagement party that was mine. I think we're about to get married or something like that. And this guy, for some reason, apparently I had a connection with him at one point, and all of a sudden this is the guy I felt like I should marry. I remember him being a bit, he's quite good looking, this guy, and he was a bit, not so bad, but it was a bit better looking than the previous guy I got to know from the shop. But in this dream, it was more about, I liked how he looked and he seemed nice on the outside. And so I was swayed by this kind of persona of sweet, nice, good looking sort of person. But there was a part in the dream where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to marry the wrong person, right? I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I knew in my spirit, like, oh, this has gone too far. And I remember the engagement party, there was one thing, like a speech had happened or something. And there was one question when I got, obviously, in the dream, it had skipped the times I'd got to know this guy. I don't know how this connection started, but I obviously didn't ask him enough questions. And there was one part in the engagement party where he said something and it made me go, oh my goodness, that's not right, that I cannot marry someone like that. And guys, if you know me, like, I'm a Christian and I truly believe that you should marry a Christian, like someone that's on fire for God as much as you are, on the same alignment, same level as you with your faith. However, in this dream, I didn't know if he was Christian or not, and then all of a sudden, someone said something where like, oh, does it matter that you're not a Christian because Beth's a Christian, something like that happened. Then I remember this so clearly. He looked at me and he said, do you know what, it doesn't matter, because I can't remember what the term he used was, but he was basically saying, even if I'm not a Christian yet, when I married to her, there's a bit in the Bible that says the person you marry, like who you're attached to, will become a Christian or will know God. I can't remember. I think there is a bit in the Bible that says like the rest of your family will come to know God through your faith in God, sort of thing. So he was basically going, oh, it's fine. Basically he was making out a point like when he was ready, he will become a Christian. And in real life, this would be so unlike me. Like usually I would be like, bye, like what? But in this dream, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I could, that's fine. Like I just sort of was like, oh yeah, I accepted it. And but deep down I was like, no, that's not what I want. How come I've only just known this now? And so it went from all happy clappy in this engagement party in this room, and then I ran away, guys. I literally like ran out the room, pretended I needed to go to the loo, and as I was walking out down this long hall, I was thinking, I've got to break this engagement off, because that's not what I want. I wanted to marry someone that was on fire for God like me. Like this is the wrong person, what am I doing? And next thing you know, I've ran away from the venue, and the dream kind of skips ahead. It's like a movie, and the wedding's off or whatever, and then I end up going back to the guy I originally got to know in the corner shop. And then I suddenly was asking, and I didn't tell him, so he didn't know that I was getting to know someone else. I was about to get married to someone else. And so I was a bit nervous, and he was a bit upset and shocked, but I think he had grace, and he like forgave the fact that I was getting ready to marry another person. So I went back to that other guy, and in that moment I was like, oh, you're the one I've got to marry, I don't know, for whatever reason. And so then the dream changes to my wedding day, and I'm about to get married, the guy I first met. However, something really odd happened. Like deep down, I wasn't sure if that was the person I was meant to marry, but it felt like this person was a lot more suited for some reason than the last person. So in my head, I was like, yes, this must be it. And just before the wedding happened, before I was about to walk down the aisle, third guy, guys. I don't know if there's something symbolic about number 3, because there's 3 guys in this dream that all had a relation with me. This third guy came along and was like, apparently we had like a relationship or a connection in the past, and he didn't want me to get married to this guy, and he was like, no, come with me, he's going to take me away, and then he took me somewhere, I don't know. But anyway, there was all these things that were trying to stop me from having this wedding. Like there was all these like random girls there who were like jealous of me, or for some reason, I don't know who they were, but in the dream it was like this, like people were jealous like that I was about to marry this particular guy, I don't know why. And then someone else that liked me, the third guy, like was trying to take me away and be like, what? And I was left in this confusion, like, was I meant to marry him or him, like what? And guys, I'll be honest with you, the rest of the dream was a bit of a blur, and I woke up before I even knew if I got married to that person. I don't think I did, in all honesty. I think he was left waiting at the altar. But the point I'm making is, in this dream, God really highlighted to me, there was 3 guys, and each of them I at one point in the dream thought I was meant to be with, and I didn't make the right choices in the beginning. I do believe God was in it, because he stopped me from marrying the first guy, and you know, the rest of it was a bit of a blur, but I think the theme that God was really highlighting was that we really need to go to God. Like I think for you guys, not just for me, but we're gonna be hit with some counterfeit choices. We're gonna have to make a choice, and this might be relating to marriage, this might be relating to your promises that God has for you, your future, your career. But I want to focus this on marriage relationship, guys. I don't know if there's someone out there that is in this position. Maybe you've got options in front of you and you just don't know. You don't know what is of God or what to choose. And you know, God really highlighted to me this. I remember waking up and going, oh, okay, And that was with the first guy that I was about to marry. Do not let the fact that he looks good on the outside sway your choice, because the other guy actually wasn't as good looking, but like we had such a great connection, and he was trying to show me like it's not all about surface level, like, you know, like don't allow your flesh to make that choice for you. Allow your spirit to make the right choice. And so often we tend to base our decisions from what our flesh is telling us. And God said to me, look, it's a warning. Beth, this is a warning. Like, this could be something that might, could forbid, I don't want this to be, but like, you know, it's prophetic. And I know God was using this as a warning, maybe not just me, but for whoever's watching out there, whoever's going to have to come across these decisions. And it stems down to all aspects of our life, guys. Like, recently God's been relating that theme of choices through other things, like so God asked me to go on a 2-week fast. I'm currently on the second day of a Daniel fast, and you know, that all comes down to choices and obedience. Because, guys, I'll give you a quick testimony. I wasn't expecting to do this, but it kind of relates. In terms of the flesh, you know, my struggle with making good choices has come down to food. So like, not so much, I don't eat the worst, like I tend to have a balanced, you know, variety of meals throughout the day. However, my issue with food, which God's got me to realise recently, is I have like some OCD thing with eating at certain times. And I have this fear, basically, well, I had this fear because God, I believe he's healing me from all these things, but where if I don't eat at a certain time, I'm going to have no energy, I'm going to faint, and I'm not going to get through the day. And I know it sounds quite dramatic. Some of it, there is some truth in it, but majority, I think, is a lie from the enemy. Because the thing is, in the past, I have suffered with bad fatigue. I've had chronic fatigue, and like I used to get faint really easily, and I used to have to eat little and often, and you know, and I've been on a journey with my health. So, you know, because of those things in the past, it created a mindset where I created bad habits to think that I was always going to be struggling for energy, and it was going to be down to food, when actually, guys, some of it is spiritual, and a lot of it is come down to the battle of the mind, like lies from the enemy. Like, I know this for a fact because recently, the past couple of days, if I've not necessarily eaten at the time I usually would eat, or I've needed to go to the shop, for example, and I'm on an empty stomach, but I need to quickly go in to do something, usually that would really stress me out. But recently, when I've had no choice but to do that, I've realised, wow, God, you sustained me. Even if you don't feel the most energetic, guys, you know, like God showed me, like, you don't need to worry, like, if my spirit's inside you, I will sustain you. And I ride my bike, guys, and like, you know, I carried a shopping on my bike, heavy shopping. And I don't know what day it was, but I went, and at the time, I was like, Lord, how am I going to have the strength? Because I hadn't eaten. I hadn't eaten enough, like, in my mind. And I did feel a bit funny, but God literally gave me some supernatural strength to make the journey there and back. And I realised I actually went quite a long time without food, and I was surprised at myself. But obviously, guys, use wisdom. I'm not recommending to do that, but God was using that to show me that, like, you're okay. I will sustain you, you know, no matter what happens. But for those that don't know, the Daniel fast is not cutting out all food. It's just cutting out certain foods, like no dairy, no wheat, no sugar, no like certain carbs and stuff like that. Basically, the majority of the things you can eat is literally fruit and veg and lentils and beans. You know, it's very basic. That's it. Oh, and no caffeine. And this comes on to my next point. So basically, guys, something you may not know about me, I love coffee. Like, I literally can't usually go a day without coffee. I'm not overly addicted to the point where I have to have a certain amount each day. Like, in all honesty, I will have like 1 coffee a day, and I will have tea here and there throughout the day. And God challenged me. I think a part of the reason he was like, Beth, you need to do a 2-week fast. I know that Daniel was a 3-week one, but for some reason God just said to me 2 weeks. So I'm just going to do what he says until further notice. And for a while back, God was like, you rely too much on, like, not just food, but you rely too much on coffee. And guys, I don't drink it necessarily because I want my caffeine fix. I drink it because I like the taste. So it's not like intentional, but caffeine is an addiction. So it's kind of like, I see what he was saying. Without realizing, you do get to the point where you feel you need it. So I was like, wow, okay, I'm sure it wouldn't be too bad. Not like I drink a lot of coffee, I will miss it, but hey ho. Guys, oh my goodness, if you've ever had withdrawal symptoms, I was not expecting it. Literally on the first day I went a morning without coffee, I had a headache, I felt sick, I was so fatigued. I was like, what is going on? And you know, I was eating well, so it's not like it's to do with what I was eating, but you know. And then the second day today, my headache's worse. So you know, it's like, I guess any other addiction, if you cut it cold turkey, it's, your body gets impacted by what it's used to. So guys, you know, in terms of making good choices, I'm learning to be obedient despite the discomfort, despite this horrible headache, the sickness and stuff. You know, I'm having, and the tiredness, oh my goodness, like having to battle through, like, you guys do this video, it took so much. I wanted to go to sleep, honestly. But you know, God was showing me an inner strength that you may not physically always feel strong, guys, but your spirit will never break. Your body may get bruised and burnt out, but your spirit is strong. And so though the flesh is weak, the spirit is willing. And if you press into that, you can do all things for him. He's the one that will give you strength. And you can't do it without relying on God. And it's taught me even more than usual to completely rely on God, like literally to the point each day I'm like, Lord, like, you actually, I cannot do anything today without you helping me. Like, because the thing is that when you got a headache and all these things happening, it can be a distraction, right? And so I'm aware of that, and so I physically have to give everything to God. And but also we've got a part to play, guys, which is persevering and to have patience to endure this time. But you know, saying that, God's been challenging me, you know, through making these choices, guys. Whatever God's led you to make, whatever, you know, whatever sacrifices he's led you to do in this time of corona, you know, it's for a reason. But also I would challenge you guys to find joy in it. Like, if you are fasting yourself, or whatever sacrifice it is, giving more time to God, whatever it is, you know, God wants us to do it because he wants us to find joy within our circumstances, guys. Like, you know, I do believe the body of Christ is under like a bit of a spiritual attack at the moment. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of, you might be feeling burnt out, drained, weary, mentally, a lot going on. And just know, those of you that are feeling that, it's basically because something big is going to happen in your life, and like God's testing you, and you need to manage what God's given you now so that you can manage what he has for you in the future. But you know, it's also, we need to be doing it for the right reasons, not to get something out of God, but because we love God and we want to worship him. Like, the amount of times God has always repeated this to me, anytime I'm feeling weary, it's so hard to not complain and moan all the time, but each time God's challenged me, Beth, you need to worship. And guys, that's the thing, speaking of good choices, God wants us to worship. And I've learned just recently, it's not because God's got a big ego and he needs to feel like validated. God is God, he doesn't need anything, you know. But when we worship him, it's kind of like, it's an exchange of love. And you know, it benefits us as much as it benefits God when we worship. You know, you don't realize it, but like, the more you align yourself with God, the more you get the blessings, you know, the more you will receive his joy, peace, comfort, you know, the spiritual gifts, the fruit of the spirit, because that's all a part of God. And when you worship, you're communicating with God and you're receiving everything he has for you, and it's all good things, guys. So, you know, worship is going to be a thing to help combat the things going on in your mind, to help change the mindset you're going through right now. We know that there's power in and life in the tongue, right? So, you know, we need to put an action forward, guys. We need to declare the Bible over ourselves, not just read it, but take it in, meditate on it. It's an action, it is a doing word, you know. Worship, it's not just like thinking things in your mind. Like, we have to actively sometimes do something to break down these habits, these barriers, and that's all part of making good choices. Yeah, and just really quickly, I don't want this to be a long video, but God gave me this little quote this morning, because obviously while I was fasting, and if you are doing something that's challenging, that maybe God has challenged you to do something right now and it's really difficult, obviously it's tempting to look at your life as a constant wilderness, right? Even if you are in a wilderness. And we really need to get out of that mindset, because what might look like a biggest battle, biggest disappointment, will be your biggest blessing. Like, this is going to be the thing that's going to take you to the next level. But the point is, God gave me this quote, and he said to me as a challenge, and I want to challenge you guys: you see your life in grey, but I see your life in colour. Let me say it again. You see your life in grey, but I see your life in colour. And now God's been really speaking to me through colours and pictures. Recently I draw stuff, and every picture has loads of bright colours in it, and God's been saying, look, these colours are for a reason, like, pay attention to these colours, you know. And I think what God was trying to say through that is, it can be very easy to get into you can idolize a mindset, guys. You can get into a habit of constantly expecting trials and wilderness seasons to never end. Like, you can get into this like drought mindset, whereas like that's really dangerous, because the thing is, you're going to miss the things that God is doing in it if you always look at the negative stuff that's happening, the effects of your circumstances. And, you know, we've got to look with our spiritual eyes. Like, God's saying, you know, your life, it's got these so many colours in it. With Jesus, we have life, you know. So there's blessings, there's vibrancy to the things the plans he has for us are more amazing than we could ever dream of. And so we need to start seeing ourselves as blessed. Does that make sense? Like, we need to start seeing ourselves as blessed despite what's happening around us, because that's where breakthrough happens, guys. That's where breakthrough happens, and you don't know what's around the corner, but we got to be obedient. We've got to be like so focused on God in this time. And you know, the issue is the enemy wants us to see our life in grey, because he wants us to think that's a dead end, that's it, there's nothing more, that's it, we're just living our life, the same routine, same thing, same struggles, same patterns. But God, yes, he takes us through wilderness and trials, but it's not the same season all the time. Like, there are moments where we will break out of that. And what happens if you're on the like entrance to coming out of that wilderness season? It's going to be very difficult to step into the new thing he has for you, the blessings he has for you, if your mindset is left in the old ways. You can't put new wine in old wineskin, you know. And so really listen to God about what season you're in. Listen to what the rhythm of where he's taking you right now, and make wise choices, guys. Like the dream I said about marriage, like, I don't want to go on for too long, but I really just want to press into that theme of choices right now, that if you are at a roadblock where you've got to make some choices and you might feel the pressure, you know, please just pray about it. God will show you. Like, even in the dream of the wedding, when I was with the wrong person, there's so much grace, guys. Like, God spoke to me at the last, like in the last moment. It wasn't too late, you know. God wasn't going to allow me to walk into the wrong promise, you know. And so don't don't worry, you know. God has got us, but like, he also wants us to do our part to prevent us from going through that long way, or that long road, that, you know, we don't want to get to the point when, oh, you're about to marry someone and then you realize, like, we really want to do our best to walk in step with God and be, it's obedience at the end of the day. And there is grace if you are disobedient, but the thing is, why do you want to go through that stress? Like, it's a lot easier, just pass the test that God gives you there and then, be obedient to what the Spirit is telling you, and you're gonna live a much more blessed life than you think you would, you know, if you followed your own accord. So yeah, I'm gonna sort of end it now, but that's my challenge for you guys. Hopefully it spoke to some of you. Yeah, please just be aware of your choices, and spend time with God to find, whether you need to fast, whatever you need to do, don't rush into a decision. Yeah. Okay. Take care. Bye.